Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my final update 1.35 car review, leaving my personal favourite to last, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 3 GSR from 1995. For me, this car realistically came out of absolutely nowhere. It was one that I wasn't really hyped for at all. I didn't expect much from. I thought it'd be a decent tuning platform, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. This thing has actually become my daily grinder car, and it's absolutely fantastic. So the only place you can actually buy this car is from the used car dealership. Now, if you have a look at the other generations of Lancer Evolution you can get from here, we have the Lancer Evolution 4 GSR from 1996, a year later, at 41,400 credits. And then currently, actually, we also have the next generation, which is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5 GSR from 1998, going for 71,100 credits. So in terms of a price point, the Evo 3 is more expensive than both of these cars, almost expensive as both of them combined. So really what makes this stand out? So before we get into today's review, I'm actually just going to touch a little bit more on that price point. So this thing is nearly as much as two of the later generation Lancer Evos combined. Now, there is a bit of a reason for that. Well, number one, it is post-launch. So the two Evos that you saw at the start of this video were actually in there on release. Obviously, with this being post-launch, it does seem that cars that go to the used dealership do cost a little bit more. But at the same time, I did a bit of research myself and tried to go around searching for a Lancer Evolution 3 GSR to buy, and well, in the UK it was next to impossible to buy one. I actually only got one single search result, which was actually a completely rotten shell and non-running for many years, and it was going for, well, a decent chunk of money for realistically what it was. And apart from that, I got no other search results or no other for sale cars in terms of a Lancer Evolution 3, at least in the UK. So this thing, at least where I'm from, is insanely rare. I did get a bunch of Evo 4s and actually a few Evo 5s as well, and it does seem that realistically the Evo 5 does go for more money. The Evo 4 seems to be kind of a bit of a cheap point. Most of them are in quite rough condition, but if you are looking for a good condition Lancer Evo 3, by the look at the price history and what they've sold for in the past, yeah, you're going to be putting out a good chunk of money. Not realistically in £100,000 range or whatever it converts to, but you know, a decent chunk at least. So maybe that kind of explains a bit why the Lancer Evo 3 is going to cost you more than say an Evo 4 or an Evo 5 used. So maybe there is a little bit of logic to Polyphony's thinking. Now let's get into the actual review of the car itself. So if you've never joined me for a car review, especially a road car review, what we do is essentially get the car how it is out of the used car dealer, the Legends dealer, or Brand Central. We don't do any tuning for it. We leave it absolutely pure stock and go for a lap around the Nordschleife to really test it out and push it to its limits. Then we will fully upgrade it. Once again, we cannot do any fine tuning, and we'll head over to the high speed ring in Japan to go ahead and test it there in our modified lap time showdown. So the Lancer Evo 3, a car that really came out of nowhere for me. So I'm going to be honest here, for me personally, until this car came to this game, the original generation of Lancer Evolution, all the way up to probably the Lancer Evo 3, which is the one you've seen here, never appealed to me. I never understood why they got so much praise in terms of their looks and designs. For me, they just didn't look aggressive enough. I always preferred kind of these generations or these kind of year models of the Subaru Impreza over the Evo. And kind of for me, realistically, when this car got very good looking was actually the Evo 5 and the Evo 6. To me, even to this day, they are the best looking Evos that were ever made. I'm not personally, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, a big fan of anywhere from the Lancer Evo 7 realistically onwards to the 10, which is obviously the final ever Lancer Evolution. So yeah, for me, realistically, the Lancer Evo has never massively appealed to me, apart from realistically that 5th and 6th evolution. But to be honest, I am happy to report that I am a pretty much changed man when it comes to the early generations Evos, especially the Lancer Evolution 3. the more time I spent with this car early into the update 1.35, the more I realized it actually is a very, very good looking car. It's not too in your face. It does still have some, you know, very aggressive looking parts to it, but it really did start growing on me. It's almost like a big box with, you know, some aero parts slapped on and a pretty mean looking front end. And over time, I just began really liking the look of this thing, to the point where, yeah, I'm fully converted. I absolutely love the look of these early generation Lancer Evos, even more so than something like the Evo 4 or the Evo 7 onwards. For me, this is kind of the second best looking kind of Evo, I guess, look in a way. Obviously the Lancer Evo kind of 1 to 3 looking very kind of similar, and then you have the 4, which is sort of a stepping stone between the Lancer Evo 3 or the early generations up to sort of the 5 and 6, which will always be a timeless classic design in my honest opinion. And then you kind of have the sort of Lancer Evo 7, 8, 9, 10 or X, whatever you want to call it, which to be honest really don't appeal to me at all. But yeah, it is a very, very good looking car. It's quite subtle in the way it looks, and for some reason the boxy shape is just really beginning to appeal to me. But how does it feel to drive in GT7? This is where I was kind of hoping this car would surprise me, and it did. So from stock, in all honesty, it's nothing really that special. The car we're using here is obviously completely stock. There's no tuning parts on it, nothing different from what you will get as you buy it out of the used car dealership, and it's not really mind-blowing. Obviously, yesterday we had the review on the Subaru Impreza, and certainly that one appeals to me more, at least in its standard form. You know, that car felt absolutely fantastic, whereas obviously the Evo 3 is much older and it really does feel that way. You cannot hit the curves or any of the corners, or really any of the high speed corners, with as much aggressiveness as you can with the other kind of rally legend from this update 1.35. You just cannot really do it. The car moves around a lot more. It's not as precise, it's not as accurate, but it still is a very, very fun car to drive, and it doesn't feel slow, which in my honest opinion is a massive plus point for this car. It feels fantastic, to be quite honest. You know, the sense of speed with this car is there, even if you're not kind of blasting around at 200 miles an hour from standard. It really does feel great to drive. Now, next up, I'm going to talk about the likes of the brakes and the kind of overall top speed and such like that. So in terms of braking potential, in all honesty, you're going to get slowed down in time. The brakes make sense for the car. They're not overly powerful, but they're not underpowered either, to the point where you're just not going to get this thing stopped. The four-wheel drive system on this thing, it does help you power out of corners. To be quite honest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the system in this car or the way it feels on exits of corners, and overall your acceleration and top speed is going to be pretty good for the kind of performance point level that this car sits at, which isn't anything ridiculously high. So don't expect to be doing 200, but you can easily hit the 150 mark no problem in a standard version of this car. And like I said, in terms of its corner exit speed, that's really where this thing excels. There is always grip there upon exiting a corner, which is a massive plus point. And you know, a four-wheel drive system that at this point is coming up to nearly 30 years old in terms of this car, up 28 to be specific. So overall, for 100 grand, would I say the standard Lancer Evolution is worth it? Is it any better than the likes of the Lancer Evo 4 or the Lancer Evo 5? And I'm going to be completely honest, no. Now, that might seem a bit weird considering this is my favourite car from update 1.35, but I have my reasons for that, and that's because this is an absolute tuning legend, and I mean a full top tier tuner car in terms of the vehicles that we have available to us in GT7. For me, I always prefer to build up a slower car to a higher performance level and almost hit the maximum to be able to grind money, and that's where this car absolutely excels. I'd rather not detune, I'd rather actually tune upwards, because I always think that you get much better potential and a much better driving feeling when driving an upgraded car to a down-tuned Group 1 car and such, and this car massively really excels there. So we're coming across the line to finish up our Nordschleife lap. That is going to be the final update 1.35 car lap over and done with, and it was a great time. It was just nothing too amazing. So if we look at the performance point category for this car, it didn't reach the top 20. It does sit within the 500 pp range. As you can see, this one actually runs on comfort softs compared to the Impreza's sports hards, and it overall did a time of 8 minutes 18.471, rather about 9 seconds or so behind the Porsche Carrera GTS 904 from 1964, and a good chunk off of around about 13 seconds to the Impreza. However, tyre compound has quite a bit to do with that. But we are not done there. We are going to fully upgrade it, obviously. And like I said, this is where this car excels. I have a 700 pp build for this one and a 600, and in all honesty, that 700 pp build that I have for this car has become an instant favourite for me. It is one that I literally use every day to grind my money with, not only because the car absolutely looks fantastic, but it feels fantastic when it's getting all of those upgrades thrown at it. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. This one obviously has the likes of racing softs, more power and such, although the 700 one is nearly almost fully upgraded, and we're going to go ahead and take this around a lap of the high speed ring to test out its high performance value. Now in all honesty, I actually prefer a 700 build over this fully upgraded build. There's not much difference in it. It is mainly just tire compounds, but because I cannot fine tune this car, it means that the suspension sits far too low for this car for the likes of high speed ring, meaning that it is constantly bottoming out. The kind of wheels are going up into the arches, so it wasn't as quick as it realistically actually is when you can fine tune it, at least through the corners and such. It sort of almost gets itself stuck on the arches, and you cannot realistically turn in as aggressively as you can. So that is a bit of a downside to a fully upgraded version, in the sense that I cannot absolutely fine tune it. However, talking from experience, when it comes to a full PP build at a set limit, this thing is absolutely phenomenal, and it's really where it shines, becoming an instant favourite. Just the look of the thing with the added aero looks absolutely mean, and really what this car should look like. Obviously the wide body just making it look absolutely humongous in comparison to the standard version, and that honestly the Type B wing on this thing is an instant favourite for me. It just looks so cool with that awesome little slope and sort of added sort of flick on the top of the wing. So yeah, overall it comes in with a rather average time at 722.59 pp with a 109.501, around about 2 seconds off the likes of the Subaru Impreza. Again, that is mainly due to the fact I'm not allowed to fine tune these cars, but if I could probably guarantee this thing, although it doesn't hit the high speed of the Impreza and it only has 5 gears, could certainly outmatch it through the corners. It's absolutely incredible, and these times do not do this car justice. So overall, should I recommend this car to you? 100%. This is one that you need in your collection. It's a timeless classic in my opinion, and Gran Turismo 7 and seeing it in Gran Turismo 7 has completely converted me, and now I finally appreciate the early generation Evos, especially this one here. It looks absolutely stunning with the added aero. There is some amazing customization options for it. You can get some amazing builds with it. Honestly, if you didn't pick this up the first time, or maybe you're brand new to GT7 today or something ridiculous like that, go ahead, pick this car up next time you see it in a used dealership. Trust me, you won't regret it. I also have my 700 pp build up on the channel. If you do want to copy those settings, you're in for an absolute blast. So that's going to be it from me today. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload from me. I upload GT7 and motorsport related content each and every day. I'll have my Discord, my Twitter, my Patreon, my Buy Me a Coffee all down in the description. If you want to help the channel out and donate, I will be massively thankful, and I will see you all later on. Have a great day, guys. Peace.